Have you ever wondered how to outsmart anyone in any room without ever raising your voice? Imagine walking in and the balance of power quietly shifts to you before you even speak. Have you seen someone twist your words with nothing but a smile or make you doubt yourself while staying perfectly calm? That's not luck, it's strategy, and the Stoics mastered it centuries ago. What if influence wasn't about charm or noise, but about stillness, discipline, and the timeless rules of Stoic philosophy? Stay here, and you'll learn exactly how it works. Most people, step into these moments unprepared. They speak too soon, reveal too much, and give away their position before they even realize there's a game being played. But you don't have to be like most people. There exists a quieter kind of power, one shaped in the furnace of discipline, sharpened by clarity, and steadied by restraint. It's not the power of manipulation, but the mastery of the self. Imagine being able to sense someone's intention before they speak a single word. Imagine shifting the weight of a conversation without raising your voice, without breaking your calm. These aren't party tricks, they are timeless rules, unshakable principles, carved into the bedrock of Stoic wisdom. If you're ready to stop being pushed around by the world and start moving through it with purpose, then stay with me. These 6 insights will not only change the way you understand power, they'll change the way you carry it. The first, master emotional stillness. Picture this. In the middle of a tense conversation, someone's tone begins to waver. Their voice sharpens. Their words scatter into chaos. In every room, in every disagreement, in every negotiation, the one who controls their emotions controls the outcome. Not through noise or force, but by staying unmoved while others unravel. True Stoic power begins with a simple truth: emotions are not facts. They are impressions, fleeting sparks that a wise mind can observe without obeying. You don't need to erase your emotions, but you must learn to command them. Because a man led by anger, one who reacts to every slight, who chases every insult with an explanation or a burst of rage, that man is ruled by others. He's a puppet with too many strings. Raise your voice in anger, and you might feel strong for a moment, but you've just revealed that someone else owns your inner state. That's not mastery, that's surrender. And predictable reactions, they're vulnerabilities waiting to be used. The moment someone learns they can provoke you, steer you, pull you off balance, they don't need to defeat you, you'll do it yourself. Think back. When was the last time you got dragged into an argument? Maybe someone mocked you, questioned your worth, or dismissed your effort, and without pause, you bit the hook. Maybe your voice rose, maybe you typed that sharp reply, but did it bring you peace? Or did you feel pulled out of position, reacting to their frame instead of standing in your own? That's how most people lose, not in public, but within. The Stoic, however, waits. He watches. He sees insult as a test and anger as a trap. He knows silence can speak louder than shouting ever could. Imagine standing face to face with someone trying to provoke you, yet your pulse stays calm, your breathing steady. You say little. Maybe you offer a faint smile. You let them burn through their chaos while you remain unshaken. That is what true control looks like. Some will tell you that showing emotion makes you human, that it builds connection, and yes, it can, but only if you decide when and how to reveal it. Spill your feelings every time someone pushes you, and you become readable. And what is readable is controllable. A man easily read is a man easily played. In Stoicism, emotional restraint isn't about being cold, it's about guarding your center. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That's not just poetry, it's a strategy. The world will pull, provoke, and challenge you. People will insult you, test you, misunderstand you, and each time you face the same choice. Will I respond from impulse or from discipline? The man who can pause before he speaks holds more power than the one who dominates with volume. Imagine someone insults you in front of a crowd. Everyone's waiting for your reaction, but you stay silent. You look at them calmly. Maybe you nod, maybe you walk away. And that silence, it echoes longer than any words could. They wanted you in their arena, now they're standing there alone. That's how you shift power without force. Because if you're always reacting, someone else is deciding the terms. They decide what matters, what deserves your attention. But hold your emotions steady, and suddenly you set the environment. You decide what matters, and most of all, you decide who controls the moment. Here's a hard truth. Most people are slaves to emotional reflex. A sarcastic comment makes them defensive. A dismissive tone makes them angry. A delayed reply makes them anxious. They think they're thinking, but they're just following every current of emotion. The Stoic doesn't live that way. He decides what's worth his energy. He knows not every fight is worth fighting, not every opinion worth hearing. He lets others expose themselves through their noise, while he builds power through stillness. You want respect? Then don't explain yourself emotionally. Don't justify your worth with arguments. You're not here to win approval. You're here to stand grounded in your values. Even in conflict, you don't need to meet fire with fire. Let your calm be your message. Let your stillness be your statement. And watch as others grow nervous, wondering why they can't pull you from your ground. And so, as we spoke before about mastering emotional stillness, the natural next step flows almost effortlessly because once you can hold your ground inside, the world begins to adjust around you. That is when you can use one of the most underestimated forces in any room: silence. Picture the moments when someone tries to provoke you, expecting a spark, a flinch, maybe even a flash of anger, and you simply remain there, steady, like a general studying the field while soldiers rush ahead. You let others waste their arrows on emotion. You hold your position for the longer campaign. Your tone stays level, your mind anchored, your responses measured and rare. And when you do speak, it is sharp, deliberate. There is great power in restraint. It disarms attackers, unsettles critics, and strengthens your posture in any setting. Respond only when it matters and with clear purpose. People may not admit it, but they feel it. Deep down, everyone recognizes composure as a sign of depth. So next time someone pushes, just pause. Ask yourself, is this reaction worthy of me, or is it simply a test of my discipline? You do not have to answer every storm. Sometimes the most powerful move is to do nothing at all. In the Stoic world, power is rarely loud or theatrical. It is still, deliberate, and immovable. Begin with yourself. Hold the line within. The rest of the world will fall in step. Once you have mastered that, you are ready for the next rule. Let silence lead. In a world obsessed with speed and chatter, silence becomes rare and therefore powerful. Many confuse noise with influence, but the Stoic knows better. True power lies not in the volume of your voice, but in the weight of your presence. When you are silent, you are not empty. You are listening, watching, measuring. While others rush to prove themselves, you conserve your energy like a blade kept sharp in its sheath. Look around, you'll see it. They scramble to fill it, to escape the discomfort, to avoid the space where uncertainty lives. But that space is where you begin to win. Stay quiet long enough, and others will start projecting. They will guess what you are thinking, interpret your stillness as judgment or wisdom or indifference. And the more they guess, the more they reveal, not because you asked, but because they cannot endure the silence you've created. This is where the Stoic gains leverage. He does not interrupt. He does not speak to seek approval or defend his ego. He observes. He lets the noise of others reveal their fears, their desires, the truths they would rather hide. And when he finally speaks, his words strike with clarity because they are few and deliberate. There is a story of a Roman general who sat through an entire council meeting without saying a single word. His enemies thought it was weakness, but when he finally spoke just one sentence, he ended the argument, changed the campaign's course, and won the loyalty of the entire room. That is not legend, that is strategy. The Stoic does not speak to fill space. He speaks to create impact. Every moment of silence before the word makes that word heavier. Silence also tests the soul. Can you sit across from someone, meet their gaze, and say nothing, letting the discomfort swell without rushing to break it? Most cannot. They begin to ramble, to explain too much, to reveal details they had no intention of sharing. They confess, they soften, they bargain with themselves just to escape the pressure. And all you did was wait. All you did was hold the line. In negotiation, the man who speaks least often wins not because he hides, but because he anchors. He lets the other person speak too much, offer too much, expose too much, and then he answers with simplicity, cutting straight to the truth. Restraint is power, discipline is persuasion. And this works outside of high-stakes moments too. In a meeting, pausing after a question shows you are not desperate to please. In an interview, a moment of quiet signals confidence, not confusion. In daily conversation, the one who speaks less is valued more. This is why silence is sacred. It reflects inner sufficiency. When you do not react to everything, when you do not flinch at every jab, people sense it. They start to treat you differently. They lean closer when you speak. They wait for your opinion. They study your reactions, and when they get nothing, they start questioning themselves. The Stoics taught that control begins within, and silence is one of its purest signs. Silence is not weakness. It is not passivity. It is a position, a tactic, a discipline. It says, I know who I am, I know what matters, and I do not need to perform for your approval. And here's the deeper truth. When you are always talking, you become predictable, accessible, ordinary. But when you speak with restraint, you become rare, and rarity commands respect. Let your voice be something earned, not spilled everywhere. Speak as if every word has a cost. Let them come to you. Let them work for your perspective, because what is scarce becomes valuable. Silence creates contrast. It shapes your words, gives meaning to your presence. Without it, speech becomes noise. With it, even one phrase can shift the entire room. The goal is not to be mute, it is to be measured. To understand that timing matters as much as content. And when you finally speak after holding your silence like a sword in its scabbard, unsheathed at the perfect moment, the effect is unforgettable. So train yourself. Learn to be still in rooms that crave noise. Let others stumble over their own need to be understood. Let them fill the air while you remain the steady center. And when your moment comes, make every word count like it was chosen for battle. Silence, as we explored before, is more than the absence of sound. It's a force that shapes the room. And once you can hold it without flinching, you step naturally into another, even more subtle power. The art of being strategically misunderstood. There is a certain strength that does not need to announce itself. It doesn't demand the spotlight, doesn't rush to speak. It observes quietly, lets others speak freely, lets them guess, and all the while, without ever moving into the open, it guides the entire field from the shadows. This is psychological misdirection, a Stoic instrument forged from perception and restraint. It is not deception, but discipline. The discipline to remain unreadable, to reveal just enough truth for others to fill in the rest themselves, and in the space between what they think they know and what is real, you take control. Most people live like open books. Their feelings are visible in their expressions, their beliefs broadcast in every word, their strengths, their fears, their doubts all exposed. There is honesty in this, yes, but also danger. Anything predictable can be outmaneuvered. The Stoic understands that power doesn't always lie in what is shown. It often lives in what is held back. You don't need to impress anyone. You don't need to prove anything. You can remain calm and composed while others reveal themselves. Let them misread you. Let them assume you are slower, softer, less prepared. Let them believe you are distracted, disinterested, uninformed. That illusion becomes your cover. Their guard drops, their words loosen, and in that comfort they slip small admissions, careless remarks, telling gestures. They show you who they really are, not because you pushed them, but because they thought they were steering the moment. Meanwhile, you are watching, listening, storing every detail. And when the moment matters most, you move. There is an ancient wisdom here. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury," which means do not mirror aggression, do not respond in kind, do not reveal your full hand. Then, when the timing is perfect, reveal the sharpness they never saw coming. This is not about pretending to be someone else. It is about knowing exactly when to show certain parts of yourself and when to keep the rest concealed. You might downplay your knowledge in conversation, not because you lack it, but to see who overstates theirs. You might let someone believe they have outsmarted you just to observe how their overconfidence exposes the cracks in their thinking. You might agree publicly while quietly holding your true conclusion until you have the information to act with precision. All of this is misdirection with intention, not deceit. The average person moves in straight lines. What they say is what they mean. What they feel is what they show. But you are not average. You are deliberate. Where others rush, you pause. Where they react emotionally, you remain centered. You give just enough to keep them wondering, never enough to be fully known. Because when you are fully known, you are vulnerable. But when you are misunderstood by design, you are untouchable. Picture the quiet man in a room full of talkers. He nods, listens, offers little. People speak openly around him because he gives nothing away. They mistake his calm for passivity. But what they don't see is the calculation, every word weighed, every gesture noted, every glance recorded. And when the time comes, he speaks clear, concise, and the room turns, not because he was loud, but because he was exact. Even in confrontation, this tactic holds. When someone pushes you, insults you, tries to provoke you, you give nothing. No spark to ignite, no hook to grab. Perhaps you offer a small nod, not of agreement, but of indifference. That stillness unsettles them. They expect resistance. Instead, they meet composure. Doubt enters. Doubt slows them. Hesitation creates space, and that space is all you need. The best misdirection isn't about playing a role. It's about withholding just enough so that others walk themselves into the wrong conclusion. And when they finally realize the truth, it's already too late. You are where you need to be. This is not manipulation, it's mastery of impression. In a world that rewards noise and speed, restraint is your leverage. The Stoic does not reveal his strength until the moment demands it. He is willing to be overlooked, underestimated, even dismissed because he knows the moment of revelation is coming. And when it comes, it strikes with tenfold impact, precisely because no one expected it. You do not need to dominate every conversation. You do not need to chase recognition. You need only to remain patient, purposeful, and perfectly unreadable until it matters. So let others reveal themselves. Let them talk. Let them assume. Let them believe they have understood you completely. While they do, you watch, you prepare, you wait. The one who seems harmless is rarely guarded against. And when the true edge is revealed, it cuts far deeper. Remember this: power is not always about presence. Often it is about absence, about what is not said, not shown, not explained. In that absence, clarity grows. In that clarity, advantage forms. What if you left more unsaid? What if you let a pause linger just a moment longer, leaving space for others to project their own thoughts into the silence? Can you feel the shift in the air when they begin to guess? You see, when people think they know you, they stop paying attention. When they are unsure, they reveal more of themselves. That is why being strategically misunderstood is not cruelty, it is careful self-control. It guards your center while the world rushes to expose its own. Keep your pace steady while others race. Keep your tone even while others rise. Keep your posture loose while others strain for advantage. You are not hiding, you are choosing. You are not acting, you are aligning with what serves your purpose. And yes, there will be moments when you could correct a false impression, when you could explain yourself, defend yourself, prove yourself. But ask, does the truth really need this performance? Or is this just vanity wanting to be seen? The Stoic answer is simple. Let reality speak in its own time. Until then, hold your frame. When the right moment arrives, your clarity will speak for itself. Your results will confirm your strength. Your steadiness will carry the day. Until then, move like water in shadow, quiet, patient, decisive. And when you finally reveal the blade, you want it to be unmistakable. If they say they never saw it coming, smile gently. That was the point. In a world addicted to noise and speed, choose the rare path. Leave parts of yourself unwritten. Let your calm be the question they cannot answer. Let their certainty work against them, and let your restraint carry you into positions their rush could never reach. In the space you protect, clarity gathers. In that clarity, advantage grows. And with that advantage, you stand ready, steady as stone, light as breath for whatever comes next. From mastering the art of being strategically misunderstood, we step into another dimension of subtle power, the kind that emerges not from what you give, but from what you withhold. This is the discipline of turning absence into strength. What is seen too often loses its weight. What is always available soon feels ordinary. And in a world obsessed with constant presence, the rare man becomes unforgettable. Scarcity, when practiced with Stoic intention, is not a tactic to appear arrogant or aloof. It is a conscious form of discipline. It says, my time, my presence, my attention, these are not given away freely. They are earned. They are measured. Most people give themselves away without a thought. They answer every message instantly, appear at every event, fill every gap in conversation, not because it is truly necessary, but because they fear being forgotten. They confuse constant presence with influence. Yet what they actually create is predictability. And in the Stoic view, what is predictable becomes powerless. You don't have to be everywhere to be remembered. In fact, the less they see you, the more they will notice when you are gone. Chosen absence, applied with purpose, can be louder than the most elaborate display. It forces others to wonder, to think, to ask questions they would never consider if you were always in sight. That mystery becomes your advantage. The less you explain, the more others project value onto you, not because you demanded it, but because you withheld just enough to make them fill in the gaps themselves. This principle works because human nature, untrained by reason, is drawn to what feels limited. When you become selective with your energy, when you stop explaining every choice or responding to every invitation, you send a quiet but unmistakable signal. Your life is guided by priorities, not demands. Imagine the man who speaks rarely in meetings, while others rush to add their voice, eager to be seen. He waits, he listens, and when he finally speaks, the room quiets, not because he shouted, not because he demanded attention, but because he earned it through silence and timing. His presence feels weighted, not scattered. His words feel valuable, not repetitive. That is the effect of scarcity. It is not about absence for the sake of mystery. It is about aligning your presence with your purpose. Epictetus reminds us, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Why? Because it means you've stepped back from the need for constant validation. That withdrawal, done with clarity, makes your presence sacred. Scarcity also teaches others how to treat you. If your time is always available, people will treat it as if it's worth nothing. They will cancel, delay, overstep because you've taught them there's no cost. But when you set limits, when you pause before replying, when you reserve your energy for what truly matters, people adjust. They come prepared. They choose their words more carefully. They measure their tone because they know yours is not given lightly. This applies even in everyday conversation. A man who speaks with restraint forces others to lean in. His words are not forgotten because they are not wasted. He becomes someone whose silence carries meaning and whose speech carries weight. That is scarcity in motion, a presence that speaks more through what is withheld than what is expressed. Consider the way elite circles operate. Not everyone is allowed in. Not everything is explained. The rules are unspoken. The doors are guarded. The silence surrounding them speaks louder than any promotion. This is not arrogance. It is the preservation of value through rarity. Apply this to your own life. Pull back from the noise. You don't need to post every detail. You don't need to be reachable at all hours. You don't need to explain your absence. Simply disappear and let your silence speak for you. Reappear when it matters and let your presence feel like an event, not a routine. This isn't about playing games. It's about training others to see you as someone whose time is sacred, whose focus is not scattered, whose attention is not for sale. When people see you move on your own schedule, without begging for inclusion, they begin to respect the force that drives you. They stop assuming access and start earning it. More importantly, you protect your own energy. You stop sprinting toward every opportunity to be noticed and instead walk with intention toward what aligns with your highest standards. You don't dilute your presence, you refine it. Let others rush to be everywhere, exhausting themselves chasing attention. You stay silent, you stay measured, and when you move with clarity. Because in a world drowning in noise and overexposure, the man who is rare becomes revered. Remember this, you don't need to be seen by everyone, you need only to be remembered by the right ones. And once you have mastered the discipline of scarcity, you are ready to uncover the next principle of unshakable power. Lead quietly through reflection. There is a kind of strength that does not shout or confront. It doesn't demand authority, nor does it impose control. The Stoic understands that influence does not always come from force. Often, the most effective way to lead is to reflect what stands before you, gently guiding it, allowing the other person to feel that the idea was theirs all along. People trust what feels familiar. When they sense that you speak like them, move like them, even pause where they would pause, something softens inside. The guard lowers. They stop resisting. And once someone feels understood, you've crossed a threshold no argument could ever open. From learning how to lead quietly through reflection, we now move deeper into the heart of this subtle art, because when someone feels truly understood, you've already stepped into a space that no debate or clever logic could ever open. The Stoic doesn't seek to win arguments. He wins minds. He does this by creating safety in his presence and mirroring. True mirroring, not mimicry, becomes the bridge to that safety. It begins with quiet observation. You notice the way someone sits, how they shape their words, the pace of their speech, the places where their energy rises or sinks. Not as a puppet, not as a game, but with an intentional presence. Just enough for them to think, this person understands me. And that instant of recognition, though it may seem small, opens doors that brute force would only slam shut. Everyone, whether they admit it or not, wants to be understood. But walk into a conversation too different, too polished, too intense, too fast, and they will put up walls. Yet if you meet them where they are, in rhythm, tone, or body language, something shifts. They soften. They relax into the moment. And in that stillness, you find your opening. From there, an almost invisible transition takes place. They begin to follow not because you push, but because you've created alignment. Influence, after all, is not about control. It's about movement. And when someone feels emotionally safe, they will move with you willingly. That's the gift of mirroring. It builds rapport without demand, trust without pressure. You haven't taken control, they've offered it. This is especially potent in subtle power dynamics. The Stoic knows that dominance is not about raising one's voice or taking up space. It's about shaping the tone of the room without anyone realizing it. You shift the rhythm slightly and you slow your speech. You ask a single thoughtful question. If they follow mirroring your pace, your posture, your tone, you know you're in position. If they don't, you adapt. You wait. You stay present. This isn't performance, it's strategy wrapped in stillness. Even in conflict, mirroring serves as a quiet shield. If someone enters hot, reactive, ready to fight, you meet their energy just for a moment, not to escalate, but to acknowledge it. Then, like a stoic steering through a storm, you lower your energy, slow your voice, and create calm within yourself first. Almost without realizing it, they begin to follow. Not because they lost, but because you gave them something steadier to match. This is how you de-escalate without drawing a weapon. How you lead someone out of their own fire by stepping in just long enough to guide them toward calm. The same principle applies to persuasion. You could hold the most logical, airtight argument in the world, but if you're out of sync with the person in front of you, they won't hear a word. Your points will bounce off their armor. But when you begin by reflecting their pace, their concerns, even their worldview, briefly their guard drops, and that's when your words can actually land. Stoic influence is not about emotional manipulation, it's about presence. A grounded man speaks less to be heard and more to be felt. Once mirroring has earned you trust, you begin to steer, adjusting the pace, shifting topics, altering tone. You become like a conductor, shaping the rhythm of the conversation. They think it's just a good talk, but you've been guiding the flow from the first moment. This is not manipulation, it is moral strategy. You are not leading for personal gain, but because clarity, calm, and connection outlast any argument, any volume, any display of pride. And here's a deeper truth. People will forget much of what you said, but they will remember exactly how they felt with you. Mirroring isn't about being liked, it's about creating alignment. And once someone feels aligned with you, they trust you, even if they can't explain why. That's when influence becomes effortless. You don't need to convince. You don't need to argue. You simply stand in quiet authority, and they choose to walk beside you. The Stoic has no need for the spotlight. He shapes the moment without claiming it. He understands that true guidance often comes without titles or visible control. It begins with silence, with presence, with the ability to mirror calmly and then lead gently. In doing so, he becomes the still point in the chaos, the one others instinctively lean toward, without knowing why. So next time you step into a conversation, resist the urge to speak first. Watch, listen, reflect, guide. Remember, when you master the rhythm of others, you begin to shape the flow of everything. And once you've learned to align and lead this way, the next level of influence becomes possible, knowing when to walk away with clarity. Power is not always found in action. Sometimes it's in absence. A Stoic man understands that strength is not just knowing when to speak or act, it's knowing when to leave. The most dangerous presence in any room is the one that does not need to remain. He is unattached, undisturbed, unmoved by outcome. He is not there to prove himself, he is there on principle. And when that principle is violated, he does not argue, he simply exits. Most people cling to relationships, positions, conversations, even conflicts long after the value is gone. Not because they believe in it, but because they fear losing it. Fear keeps them locked in cycles of compromise, mistaking suffering for loyalty. They endure what they should walk away from. They tolerate what they would never advise others to accept. That is not resilience, it is quiet desperation dressed as patience. But the man with a plan, the man who has trained his mind and clarified his values, knows the power of walking away. He does not make a scene. He does not burn bridges. He simply removes himself with precision, with calm, with finality. And so, from the man who knows when to speak, we arrive at the man who knows when to leave. His clarity is so precise, so firm, that the silence left behind speaks louder than any defense he could ever offer. His absence becomes a mirror, forcing reflection in those who remain. It's not about being cold, it's about being clear. You've already defined your terms. You know what aligns with your path and what doesn't. So when something violates that standard, you don't plead, you don't over-explain, you depart. This is the highest form of discipline, leaving not from impulse or emotion, but from calm, reasoned choice. Whether it's a conversation that's run dry, a deal that drains more time than it's worth, or a relationship that slowly erodes your peace, you do not cling. You do not try to salvage what should be released. You assess, you decide, you exit, not out of bitterness, but from self-respect. B.B.I. In doing, in now, and Dellerberty 17. Long before this moment, you already set the boundaries of what you will accept, and because of that, you never feel trapped. That kind of clarity makes you unpredictable, not chaotic, but free. People sense it when you don't need them, and in that instant, the dynamic changes. In business, your terms carry more weight. In relationships, your presence commands deeper respect. In social settings, you move with a quiet authority that doesn't need to be announced. Why? Because you are no longer ruled by the fear of exclusion. You have built your life in such a way that no outside attachment has the power to disturb your inner balance. Even in the heat of an argument, the wise man knows that sometimes the most powerful response is not to fight, but to offer silence and then to walk away. Let them raise their voice, let them twist the story, you simply turn, and let the emptiness do the speaking. Later, when they replay the moment, wondering why you didn't stay to defend yourself, that silence becomes the echo they can't forget. That absence becomes the mark you leave behind. Walking away isn't surrender, it's protection. Protection for your future, your time, your clarity, your energy. It shields you from the bitterness that grows when you linger too long in something that's already over. You turn the page the moment the story stops serving your growth, and people notice, even if they never admit it. They recognize the man who doesn't cling, who isn't desperate, who will not hesitate to step away when needed. And once they know you can leave, they begin to value the moments you choose to stay. That is the quiet, lasting power of the exit. From that stillness, you move forward steady, prepared for whatever comes next. Because true power doesn't need to shout, it sees clearly, moves deliberately, and chooses wisely. These 6 rules are not about manipulating others. They are disciplines of presence, sharpened by restraint and guided by reason. When you master emotional stillness, when you speak less, when you allow others to misjudge you, when you hold your distance, and when you know exactly when to walk away, you stop reacting to the world. You begin shaping it. Most people remain on the surface, drowning in noise, trapped in their need to be seen, constantly seeking validation. But not you. You now carry the calm of a man who knows himself. So, if this message has stirred something inside you, pause for a moment, breathe it in, let it settle deep, and then take action. Subscribe to the Stoic Room so you can keep sharpening this edge. If this video has been useful to you, give it a like. It tells the algorithm to share it with others who need it. And for your next step, explore our playlist, Stoic Wisdom, Mastering Emotions and Inner Strength, to continue building this quiet, unshakable power. Remember, this world doesn't need another voice fighting to be heard. It needs presences that cannot be ignored. Be that presence, calm, steady, and unmovable, no matter what the storm brings. I'll see you in the next lesson.